Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an incredible day. Welcome back to your daily crypto news. As always, leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing, all of these things not only help out the channel, but they're also very much appreciated. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. For those of you not looking at the screen, it says Bitcoin is hovering around $40,000. Here's what traders can expect in the upcoming day's trade. We will go over that in a couple of seconds because, of course, all the news is tightly tied together. It says Bitcoin's price plummets below $40,000 as crypto market tallies a $440 million liquidation. The cryptocurrency market, much like we spoke about yesterday, continues to drop. It's not an incredibly dramatic drop. However, prices are dropping. The world's economy seems to be on the cusp of something, and the cryptocurrency market is reacting unaccordingly. Can I even say that? Based on what is currently taking place. And not to be left out, there were a little bit of altcoin news. Will this coin do this? Is this coin going here? It says, will Terra Luna's price fall below $80 in the next 48 hours? Here's what's in store. Dogecoin revolves around 13 cents price support as bears dominate. I'm going to give you a little spoiler. If Bitcoin and Ethereum dramatically fall down, the rest of the market is going to do the exact same thing. We saw yesterday, I believe Bitcoin's price was around below, or had fallen by around 2%, and Ethereum around 4%, and many other altcoins were down between 10 to 14% at the same exact time. Usually, sometimes, very rarely, we can have an instance where an altcoin does actually move up if Bitcoin and Ethereum are going down, but I mean they need spectacular news in order for that to happen. It says technical analysis, Bitcoin dives below $40,000. Why Bitcoin could recover in the short term. There is nearly absolutely nothing stopping Bitcoin from moving up right now. And I know a lot of you may have sucked your teeth or said that sounds completely insane. We have been through these situations hundreds of times before where the cryptocurrency market moves down and it skyrockets back up. The next news that I am going to show you, or that we are going to talk about, is going to prove me right, I guess I would even say. The entire point of Bitcoin, and I'm going to single it to one coin as it is the first coin and was made with this purpose, is to go against inflation. When we see that inflation is bad, Bitcoin do good, as Bitcoin is deflationary. When we see or have seen before that world events are hindering economic policies or stopping people from moving their money around, or we see a clamp down from governments when it comes to monetary, fiscal, socioeconomic, whatever policies, Bitcoin should do well, as Bitcoin is, hear me out here, decentralized and can be used by anyone. We are done with the old archaic monetary system, and Bitcoin is we know that Bitcoin is actually actively being used on a daily basis by a lot of people around the world who are having economic troubles, and it's not just in Europe, as we've been discussing before. Do not forget that many other countries around the world their currencies are actually collapsing right now. Don't forget that. How many times have there are at least 16 countries who we've had in the news. Their economy's not doing well. We see the metrics from people in that country who are trying to buy Bitcoin any given way so that they can actually have some type of stability over their money. There's nothing stopping Bitcoin from hitting $50,000, $60,000, or $70,000 this week. Not even half joking, just based off of the actual accumulation that we've been seeing. Don't forget about the companies who've been buying up billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin every week. But for some reason, and I'm not still too sure about it, the price of Bitcoin is continuing to follow every other market, which, and I will tell you this right now in the most honest way, is incredibly dangerous for our market. We are meant to be detached from every other market. We are meant to do the opposite of what other markets do. When we see that the dollar is doing bad and inflation is very high, Bitcoin historically, before the beginning of 2020, every other year before, went up. If we had any news that there was a country, one, nonetheless 15, that was doing really bad, that was locking out people from their bank accounts, Bitcoin would do well. Anyway, so moving along, still tying into all the price news, it says Bitcoin is following in the footsteps of the NASDAQ. What's next for Bitcoin's price? I guess we need to actually look at what's next for the NASDAQ. What's next for the other world markets? Where are they going to go? Because we are seeing now, for some reason, over the last 2 years, if they do well, crypto skyrockets, which also doesn't make a lot of sense. And if they do bad and are expecting a recession, well, boy, howdy, Bitcoin's probably going to do the exact same thing. The news of the day is, price-wise, it says dollar holds steady ahead of expected red-hot U.S. inflation data. This news is supposed to come out today. We are supposed to hear about how bad the U.S. dollar has been doing. U.S. stocks dropped on Monday as investors looked ahead to the start of corporate earnings season this week and a bevy of new economic data at the Federal Reserve as the Federal Reserve prepares to accelerate its move to counter inflation. The S&P 500 declined by 1.7%. NASDAQ dropped more than 2% as technology stocks came under renewed pressure. Treasury yields and the benchmark 10-year yield rose to 2.7% to reach the highest levels since January 2019. Concerns over inflation, rising commodity prices, and Russia and the Federal Reserve's monetary policy path forward remained at the center of investors' attention. On Tuesday, traders are set to receive the latest consumer price index from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is expected to show a staggering 8.4% inflation rate, or increase in consumer prices, the biggest leap since 1982. The Fed is also expected to announce, or to wink at the camera to announce, that they're also going to try and continue raising inflation rates at the exact same time. All of those things that I mentioned right here are catalysts for Bitcoin to go up. Why Bitcoin goes down, I confused. I simply do not know. It's difficult for me. A lot of times I can kind of compartmentalize. I'm not sure if that's the actual word. Things that have been taking place over the last couple of weeks. I'm usually very quick at saying, well, these 8 things actually happened. Why isn't Bitcoin moving up? But there's been a lot more than 8 things. If you've noticed, I've usually been doing around 2 videos a day, as opposed to my normal weekend news I missed, because there's an enormous, constant amount of news that's pouring out of every single orifice at this point from world markets about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency adoption. How much is being bought, how much is being accumulated, where people think the market is going, ETFs, bonds, all these things based around crypto and more so Bitcoin. The idea that all of these things are taking place right now, and Bitcoin continues to drop, let me know, I mean this in the most explicit terms, the cryptocurrency market is probably in trouble unless people really get it together. I think it's quite dangerous. The cryptocurrency market was always in some ways speculative. In 2018 and before that, everyone who was into crypto was basically under the understanding, or began to understand, what inflation meant, what worldwide issues actually had to do with other currencies losing value, collapsing. Do you not remember this currency also completely collapsed just a couple of weeks ago? What it means for inflation to be ravaging the wallets and bank accounts of people, to have negative interest rates around the world. There are tons of people right now who have bank accounts where they are losing money every single day. That's not a joke. Their interest rates are actually negative. So not only are they paying the monthly fee to their bank to have that bank account, but the bank is also taking money from their account at the end of the month to say, hey, we are underwater. You have to help us continue floating. That's how it works. And then we get all this news and Bitcoin's price moves the same exact way that a stock does when it's not. It is a deflationary currency. And we are nearing the end or very close to the 99% end of its production. We just had the 19 millionth Bitcoin accumulated. There's more than one Bitcoin being accumulated per day by millionaires and billionaires around the world who are trying to secure their position in this market. I wish I could tell you why the market keeps dropping, why this hyper-correlation continues to bind us to the traditional older markets. I'm really not sure. In the literal supply and demand mathematics tell me that we should be near a $100,000 Bitcoin. The demise of the US dollar, the world reserve currency, as we see people moving towards Bitcoin because they understand what's happening, tells me that Bitcoin should be a lot higher. The collapsing of fiat currencies, even this idea of inflation only being 8.4% is also a lie. Do you know how the consumer index is actually calculated? This is usually what they base inflation numbers on. The idea is, not joking, it's a literal metaphorical basket, air quotes, of things. Bread, sugar, milk, chicken, whatever people are buying on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. They kind of drop all these together and see how much these prices have risen. And then accordingly, they math them together and they say, well, prices have gone up by 8.4%. That's how they do it. The idea is that if over the course of a 4 or 5 month period, because the basket also changes periodically. So if they see that during a certain season, people are buying more oranges, more mandarins, more apples, more pears, and more plums, as opposed to sugar and bread and other things, these things get weighted against the actual value of inflation. So if we see that supply chains are breaking down, this is how the number is actually done. So if at any point there's anything else whose supply chain has completely broken, the cost of something has risen by 24% that people would normally be buying, but they have not purchased before, they're not calculated in that actual number for inflation. So this is why we keep getting inflation is only 8.4%, but your rent has gone up by 30%. You may have noticed your grocery bill has actually doubled from where it previously was before. See, even this number is a very low estimate, and we've gone over that before for jobless numbers. They count the amount of people who are actively sending out CVs or resumes. And they go, well, the number has dropped, so clearly these people have found jobs. You can send out 8,000 job requests and get no response back. You might be a little bit deflated after 8,000, and then you simply stop sending them out. Well, that person found the job. The numbers are always skewed to show that things aren't as bad as they really are, when we know that they're actually really bad. There's a reason why the Fed is trying, air quotes, to take action against all of these things. If it wasn't as bad as they're saying, and it was going to be transitory and simply we would be done with it by June, we would not see all of this panic in every single market. So anyway, that's all the price news, at least for the moment. I assume midday, we are going to hear news from the Fed, and I'm going to assume that inflation is going to be high. They are going to mention that they are going to try and continue raising interest rates, and the worst thing is going to be, because of our correlation to this old market, we are probably going to fall. Bitcoin is a deflationary currency, and because I believe of a lot of the new people in the market, I'm going to say at least it's over 50% of the market at this point. They trade Bitcoin as a speculative asset as opposed to the potential thing that could be the next world's currency that they have a chance to accumulate, and instead trade wildly and rapidly on any type of false promise that the market could be dropping. And it's difficult for them to get back into that same position. There's a reason why the rich people are buying and they're not selling. Anyway, that's all the price news. we will get some, probably, I assume, actually, there's actually more of that as we go forward. There's a lot of predictions today for all of the markets. That's all the price news. And yeah, let's move on. Next up, and I rolled my eyes so hard they went to the back of my brain news. David Rubenstein, the founder of the Carlyle Group, one of the largest investment firms managing over $300 billion, says he was skeptical of crypto, but now believes that the genie is out of the bottle and the crypto industry is not going to go away anytime soon. Welcome back to another I'm Rich. I've been in crypto since 2014. I told other people not to get into crypto, but alas, here I am. I don't know if this man actually said that, but if you've been paying attention since 2016, it's trickled to around twice a month that we get news of a very wealthy individual who comes out to proclaim, I was wrong. I could not believe it. I thought that cryptocurrencies were terrible, and I believe in them now. And usually, a lot of times they've slipped and have let us know that they've been looking, wink, at the cryptocurrency market since 2014, but now they've decided to step in. Sure. David Rubenstein, co-founder of the Carlyle Group, one of the largest private equity firms in the world, has shared why he changed his mind about crypto in a recent interview by Colossus. Rubenstein co-founded the Carlyle Group in 1987. Since then, the company has grown into a firm managing $301 billion from 26 firms around the world. Fantastic. He said, I was skeptical of crypto in the beginning because I figured there's nothing underlying this. He said, but it's clear to me, here's the cringiest part, but it's clear to me that many younger people don't think there's much underlying the dollar or the euro or other currencies. I'm sure it was us that made you believe in the cryptocurrency market. He said, they think I really can't get gold for my dollar anymore. Cringe. There's no young person who's actually buying gold. I mean, I'm sure there's some who are like buying it to like hang around their neck or put in their mouth or whatever people are doing with grills now these days, but I don't know any. I do not know anyone under the age of 40. And I mean like a really strong 40 who was like, oh boy, I got to buy some gold. Even the idea of a stock is kind of archaic. The idea of owning a stock in my friend group, at least, as opposed to crypto, and putting it on a cryptocurrency exchange to get passive income, why would I choose anything else? He said, so maybe the government's promise to make it valuable isn't there when you have so much money you're borrowing and you're inflating your way out of the value of the currency. I've rolled my eyes so many times you couldn't even see. This joins the line of yet another bunch of billionaires who over the last couple of years, it's been at least 64 at this point, of them who've come forward to talk about that they saw no value in it, but now they see tons of value in it. And I personally always find it cringy when they're like, well, young people just want to use digital currencies. You got to understand, young people don't have pockets for gold. And they always say something really weird, and it's like, no, the old system is broken. We figured it out many years ago. Now we have an actual exit out of it. And so many people continue to try and make sure that the old system is continually propped up and only serves a very small handful of people. Like this person on the screen, he became a billionaire because of the old system. The idea that they're now magically figuring out what the cryptocurrency space is always so cringy. It's always so annoying. And the idea that they try and group, in my opinion, that they try and group themselves with us and say, hey, young people, we are also like you now. Yeah, we're not real billionaires. We're dollar billionaires. Boo to the dollar. It's always really annoying. These people have been in the market for a while. I would even go so far as to say, here's speculation and a huge assumption. These are probably the people who are swinging the market around, knowing that they have enough money and enough cash to push the market down when certain events happen so that they can accumulate more. Never forget, the aspiration to go from a millionaire to a billionaire is a lot. Do you think these people are trying to stop at billionaire, or do you think they want to be the world's first trillionaires? Probably the second one, right? So this was very popular news. It always is. It's always the exact same thing. It's always, oh my gosh, can you believe it? This rich person suddenly found crypto. I wonder what they're going to do for the market. They don't care about us or maybe even the market. They just care about their own wallets. How can they get richer in this new trend that they see gigantic dollar signs from? So that's wow, I can't believe it. I'm so happy that he got into this market. Maybe many more will do it as well, especially since many of them are so skeptical. And the numbers keep increasing. I told you, who were the only two? It's Munger and Buffett. And I don't think they know how to use a computer, so I just assume they're not going to be in crypto ever. That's the billionaire has found crypto news. Hope he gets richer. All right. Let's move on. Here's a really happy one. As the U.S. economy continues to reel under the pressure of mounting inflation, Bank of America foresees a mammoth recession as the Fed moves in to tighten its monetary policy. As per a report by Reuters, Bank of America's chief investment strategist, Michael Hartnett, warned in a weekly note that the U.S. economy could sink lower following what he termed as inflation shock and rates shock. Last week, the Federal Reserve signaled it will likely start slashing assets from its $9 trillion balance sheet at twice the rate it did on its previous quantitative tightening exercise. Furthermore, according to minutes from a March FOMC meeting, a majority of commissioners want the central bank to hike its key interest rates by 50 basis points as part of the plan to lower the 4-decade high inflation figures that are only transitory. This comes even as Jerome Powell stressed that the American economy is very strong, sure, and well positioned to handle tighter monetary policy. This time, however, he noted that inflation is likely to take longer to return to our price stability goal than previously projected. Wow. Shocking, huh? Yet, despite the assurances, Michael still expects a recession to unfold, predicting a rise in the unemployment rate by 1.5%, which is also a lot higher. The inflation rate is actually dramatically high right now for those of you who weren't paying attention. This will be in addition to an already inverted 10-year yield, which has historically preceded every U.S. recession. Michael, however, argued that in the context of the economy turmoil, cash, commodities, and cryptocurrencies would likely come out strongly, outperforming bonds and stocks due to their considered inflation-proof nature. But it hasn't really worked out because Bitcoin slides down when everything else gets destroyed by the inflation numbers. Quite a fascinating year we are going to have. It's still not even the beginning half of April. We have so much and I think it's going to be a very wash machine year. Like, imagine a wash machine with throw a bunch of coins into the wash machine and turn it on. That's what I think the year is going to be. I think it's going to be very loud, very obnoxious, very ridiculous, if you will. We have had calls from banks for a long time that a recession is imminent. These actually go back to around 2016, where they told us the previous economic turmoil that we had in 2008 was never fixed. Money was simply printed, thrown at the system, and that's how things became a bit alleviated. And the idea that we've also seen and read and have gone over that the Federal Reserve for a while has been printing tons of money and throwing it at these markets. This became major news in 2020 after 19 began. However, this policy has been going on for a while. Any other time before in the past that the Fed has announced that they are going to be pulling back on the amount of money they're pushing into securities, equities, what have you, stock markets have fallen. Then they have to do a U-turn and say, sorry, no, joking. And then they continue the money printing. I would love, I feel like this is the 19th time I'm saying this year, if Bitcoin just reacted normally how it used to do. Our market should be a lot higher than it currently is right now. These economic woes that we're experiencing are going to continue. This is not the end of it. They are not simply going to raise an interest rate and things will magically get better. This is over 100 years of economic policies that are finally slamming. They're converging into one gigantic perfect storm of a mess. Part of the problem is, I fear that if we have a recession because of the thing, if stocks are going down now and they continue to stop buying and what have you, I'm afraid of the cryptocurrency market following that trend and also collapsing down as well. Similar to what we saw in 2020 when the stock market collapsed and cryptocurrencies also collapsed as well. If we are tied to every single market, we are simply every single market. We are no longer a new monetary space when people can run to get away from the throes of inflation and fiat collapsing. We are basically just the stock market 2.0, and that is very dangerous for our market. So, yeah. Once again, many banks have warned of a recession, but I think we see everything kind of moving to the center at the same exact time. And I really wonder exactly how this is going to play out by the end of this year. I mean, it will be abundantly clear as time continues to move forward and none of us can stop it. But, yeah, that's the Bank of America news. And let's move on. I thought this was an April Fool's joke, but it's not. Coinbase is producing a 3-part film series with the NFT project Bored Ape Yacht Club. The films will be crafted by Coinbase Entertainment, I didn't even know that was a thing, and feature select Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT characters that will be crowdsourced from the community. On the 11th of April, Coinbase announced it had plans to release a film trilogy dedicated to the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT collection, a report stemming from the 1:37 p.m. website, indicating that the crypto exchange is celebrating and amplifying the Bored Ape Yacht Club community. Backing it up here, who else knows what's going on? Who else can figure out exactly what's going on? I assume, here's my assumption, the higher ups in Coinbase probably hold a dramatic amount of Bored Apes. Have you ever seen that video where it's Mr. Beast? It's the other guy who's insufferable. I can't remember his name right now. Paul, Mikey, Jordy. I don't know. I really can't remember his name. Where they're all sitting there talking about Gary V calling them to like, hey man, you gotta buy this coin. You gotta buy these NFTs right now. It's gonna change your life. And they kind of openly talk about that they bought 15, 20 of these things at the time. So I really wonder exactly how many the higher ups in Coinbase actually have. Do you know what it takes for you to even think of making a movie or a TV show or an episode of something for a project that you have no skin in the game with? I think the people from Coinbase probably have a massive amount of Bored Apes. And this is why they're creating these movies. They said, we're stoked. This was a tweet from the Bored Ape Yacht Club. We're stoked that Coinbase is making a film series featuring the Bored Ape Yacht Club community. Bored Ape NFT holders, submit your ape for casting. So you will literally be able to show them what ape you have. They're going to consider if your ape is cool enough. And then these collective apes will be put into the movie. Even crazier, the apes that get chosen, and one sideways. I would love, there's no way to really do this, but I would love if they belong to people who like really needed the money. And I know that's a huge stretch, but I would love if it was like someone who got an ape randomly. And I mean, he bought it. He heard someone mention it. Okay, I'll buy one. He bought it for around, $800. it's now worth like 700,000-800,000. If his gets into the movie and becomes iconic, it'll be worth millions upon millions. I always want the underdog to like not even win, like to become wealthy. Like I want people to be able to retire from this space. But yeah, like I said, I thought this was an April Fool's joke because I saw the Bored Ape in Coinbase and I was like, okay. And then I saw this photo like with the little hat and I was like, okay, sure. And I was like, oh no, they're actually making movies out of these things. Same exact way with I think it's called World of Women. They're also making a TV show and movies and stuff like that. But this is also, there was already a Bored Ape Yacht Club movie that was going to be produced. So I assume this is another branch of movies. You know the craziest part? I mean, listen, have you ever seen like those like Disney Pixar movies? I mean, like the really, really, really good ones. If they get the same kind of animation studio and I mean really make like a good storyline, can you imagine like these becoming as big as Toy Story? Like, I mean, people be like growing up and being like, dude, when I was a kid, I used to love Bored Ape. Like I think that would kind of blow my mind, but I feel like that's where it's going. And I don't know. I was going to say like do it right to Coinbase. Like don't make it cheesy. Don't get some random animator to put the whole thing together. Like really make it a thing that'll get people into the cryptocurrency space. All right, that's enough rambling. What happened to his eyes? Okay. That's the Coinbase is going to be making a Bored Ape Yacht Club trilogy. Wow. Yeah. Let's move on. And to finish things off, in what I thought would have been more popular news, but I think we were a little overshadowed by the market dropping by 10 to 15%, Ethereum developers have implemented the network's first ever shadow fork on Monday, marking an important milestone in the ongoing shift to proof of stake. The shadow fork provides a venue for developers to stress test their assumptions around the network's complex shift to proof of stake. According to Ethereum Foundation developer Paritosh Jayanti, the aim of the Kiln Merge testnet was to allow the community to practice running their nodes, deploying contracts, testing infrastructure, etc. He tweeted on Sunday. There it is right there. Kiln, that is Kiln, refers to the last testnet of the so-called merge, which involves transitioning Ethereum's execution layer from proof of work to proof of stake. In a March 14th blog post, the Ethereum Foundation described the merge as a accumulation of, it's been more than 6 years, 6 years of research and development intended to make the network more secure and energy efficient. So, this is kind of the final step. This is why I said I assumed that this would have been more popular and more people would have been talking about it, or even more so, you know that Ethereum's price would have gone up. But why would it do that when the stock market's falling? Yeah. The last news that we had was around the 14th of March, that they finally had opened it up to the public. Remember that news that we had? They were like, if you are in the public and want to try this out, please do so, like at your own will. Like stress test it as much as possible. See if you can break it. The idea is that they need people to do this. If you plan on having hundreds of millions of billions of transactions flowing through this system, they need to know that every smart contract can work properly. Are they being executed properly? Can this actually go through? If someone's sending a test transaction of $5 million worth in Ether, does it go through? How quick is it? And now we actually have the shadow fork, which means that on the testnet, a fork has happened. They are now essentially using proof of stake. This is the final run, and I assume this will go on for the next 2 to 3 months to see if everything is working correctly. Yeah, I just stupidly assumed, that prices would have risen based off of this amazing news. Because once again, as Ethereum is tied to every other coin, if Ethereum succeeds, if Ethereum pumps heavily in the summer, every other coin will do the exact same thing and probably even a little bit more. So that is the Ethereum news. Yeah, they're basically using Ethereum 2.0 right now. And I give it maybe by the end of this month, we will definitely have a tweet or something from someone who is explaining or will say exactly if this is a success. They probably test it for another 4 weeks. And then we're ready in June at that point, which is when we're expected to have this upgrade. Yeah, that's the Ethereum 2.0 shadow fork news. And let's move on. As always, a very special thank you to my Patreon supporters, GBU Wally, Bubble Mode, How's Life Austin, Auspicious Agile and Blockchain, Jamie Saad, Blockchain Simplified, and Let's Move On, Empire Queen, Fud Weiser, Roman Geba, Bitcoin Ben, Arachno Dave, Tony Ambroski, The Dealer's Den, Captain Something and the Z-Way Lay, Mo Barazi, VB Nerd 21, Miguel Grolet, Lauren De Silva, Quoted Biddy, Troy Allgood, Space Case, Need a Miracle, Pat Ternoster, Navarro Williams, Utopia 569, Moonman High, XRP, Martin Stoyo, Nostromo, John Sarson, The Animal Reader, A Bibliophobia, Todd Mullis, Adam Graysick, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Bankroll Network, Crypto Artist, Coldy 3D, Setsuna, Richie Rich III, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, Yes to Crypto, Bodie McBoatface, Anytime Fitness Monks Corner Staff, Bake Me a Cake, Tigara Macho Nisa, On Crypto with Lionel, and Creole and Michelle URL. Thank you all very, very much for your continued support. Thank you to all the new Patreon members. I see more and more of you every single day. Thank you to everyone who has left a like, who has commented in any sort of way. Say whatever you want. It helps the algorithm out. Thank you to all the new subscribers, both here and on Twitter. I keep seeing a lot of them more and more every single day. It's always nice to see these numbers despite the market dipping down. And yeah, thanks to everyone else for just sitting here listening to me rambling as to why Bitcoin should be a lot higher. At the moment, Bitcoin is down by 5%. However, it is currently above $40,000, which is a major barrier point. Ethereum is currently at 3,010, which is another major barrier point, but we're still above 3,000. A lot of the market is in red. Some of the altcoins are in green, logically. Near protocol is up by 1%. You see like slight signs of recovery if you look at the actual, like the market keeps trying to loop itself back up, but brace yourselves. I'm expecting another fall because if the market is kind of pre-falling before the news. So not financial advice, but if you're one of those people who's like, hey, I hope the market dips again so I can accumulate more, well, this might be your time. Monero is still up by 7%, but you see the actual slam downs as well, trying to mimic the rest of the market. Surprisingly, ApeCoin is also down by 3%. I would have assumed it would have skyrocketed, like literally skyrocketed on the news that they're going to have 3 movies. But alas, yeah, I do hope that you all have enjoyed. I hope that you have a great week, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Try and find something nice to do for yourself this week, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you happy. Order in something. Go hang out with a friend. Just try to make sure that your stress levels are as low as possible. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.